Unlike your application form, which can be mostly standardized with some changes based on your needs, interviews should be more broad and customized. As the next step after application forms, you may not invite every applicant to the interview stage. Based on the application, determine which candidates closely meet the needs of the role and match your position description. You can have more than one interview stage, depending on the number of candidates, and you can also have phone or online interviews as a first round of screening. It's important that you're flexible with interviews. While the questions may not be exactly the same, every applicant for the same role should be given the same opportunity to provide the information necessary to assess the best fit, whether it be through open-ended questions, activities, or even tests. Interviews also shouldn't be limited to only in-person, formalized question and answer periods. Interviews can be informal conversations, and they can even be done in groups with other candidates. You might even get better responses by changing up the format. You can have interviews using a video phone system, such as Skype, or even have interviews by email or instant messaging. Whichever method you use should be based on the comfort level and accessibility needs of the candidate, as well as the information you're looking to learn from them. When preparing your interview questions, or even the general direction you'd like the interview conversation to go, remember to focus on the skills and abilities needed for the position and talk about past experience and behavior that highlight the candidate's potential ability to be in the role. You should only be asking questions relevant to the position, so don't ask personal questions about a candidate's last vacation or unrelated questions about what type of computer they'd be. The questions should be open-ended if possible, leading towards specific examples or ideas the volunteer has that would help them in the role. Even though you won't ask everyone exactly the same questions, consider how you can get similar information in different ways. If you wanted a volunteer to tell you a story of how they dealt with something or reacted to an experience, use words like "tell me" or "can you give me an example?" If you're looking for more broad information that the volunteer can provide about their fit, use "why" or "how," such as "why do you want to volunteer in this role?" One useful way to think about getting specific answers based on the requirements is to think of skills, attitudes, and knowledge you'd like volunteers to have. Picking a couple of each that are relevant to the role can help you come up with questions or group of questions that can give you the best answers. For example, an attitude you require could be patience, as volunteers may need to deal with potentially frustrated clients. You could ask candidates to provide an example of a time they had to demonstrate patience. It's important that the questions you ask will not infringe on the Ontario Human Rights Code by asking for specific identity elements such as race, country of origin, creed, or gender identity. This information is irrelevant and has no bearing on the interview process. Behaviourally-based interviewing is an approach to conducting interviews based on the idea that the way a candidate has already responded to your questions will help you predict how they might respond in similar circumstances in the future. This relies on highlighting competencies, such as the unique skills, attitudes, or knowledge from the previous slide. You may ask a candidate for an example of when they dealt with a certain issue or how they used a certain skill. By providing the steps and/or actions taken to resolve the issue or use the skill, you can predict how the candidate might act as the volunteer in the role. Using specific scenarios can be useful, as it gives volunteers an opportunity to use this past experience to solve an issue relevant to the role. Additionally, you can ask volunteers what lessons they learned from their experience as well. This way, your interview questions can help look at future performance as well as potential fit. When you perform interviews, you should create and maintain accurate and objective written records. Whether these are handwritten or typed, it's important to capture your thoughts in the moment and record enough information to allow you to look back on your notes and accurately remember the interview responses. To build a tracking sheet, consider using a system that focuses on the competencies, such as teamwork, computer use, or training skills, instead of the specific questions. Since interviews move quickly, think of different ways you can track and remark on responses in your notes. Some candidates may answer questions very quickly or with a short response, so you'll need to move quickly to not keep them waiting or make them concerned by what you're writing. A good rule is to highlight keywords or the things you really like out of their responses. Sometimes, you may also want to record only that a candidate didn't respond to a question well. This may be all the information you need when you look back on the interview.